How's it, Bills fans? We're live about an hour or so before kickoff here between the Bills and Texans. This is the Triple Coverage Podcast. I am Lance Nelson, president of Built in Buffalo. To my left, Scott Casson. To my right, Benjamin Shoop. Big game tonight, boys. I think the Bills have their work cut out for them. What's up, Shoop?
Nothing much. Just pumped to go, ready to go. Yeah, it's always fun, those Thursdays where you go to work. It's Bills game day, and you're itching to get there, and the day seems like it's going way longer because you're just thinking about the game all day. But ready to go. Hopefully, will be a good game, and see how they come out. I am rocking the Alabama. I know the only time I might ever wear an Alabama jersey. I got the Alabama Tyrell Shavers, little signed action going. Not sure if you can really see it, but yeah, hopefully he scores a touchdown tonight, and it'll be a good night.
Can anybody name the two other schools he went to?
Was it Mississippi State? Is it Mississippi State? Yep. And then the other one can't. Smaller school
actually came out of.
I wasn't the LSU Mud Dogs.
Actually, pretty close. It was San Diego State, so SDSU. Yeah, you're pretty close. Yeah, San Diego State. I think you went Bama, Mississippi State, San Diego State, and then to the practice squad to the NFL. True underdog story. A true product of modern day college football.
Right. Rob Rayner came in already asking what team's going to show up here. We're going to get into that, what we think is going to show up. How about real quick, some quick thoughts on how the Bills did show up against Tampa Bay. Scott, talk about Josh Allen's Player of the Week performance there. What did your takeaway quickly on that?
Yeah, started a little shaky. We had a vintage rookie year, second year Josh interception.
Chest pass.
Yeah. Maybe he's been watching too much Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter highlights now that they're partial owners. But it was a classic, just making a bad play worse, which Josh hasn't been doing much. And then the offense was kind of stagnant in the beginning. It was like, oh man, I don't know if they figured anything out. And then all of a sudden, a switch flipped. After that big play to Shavers, there was the big play to Ty Johnson. Then in the second half, I don't know if they punted. I don't remember. If they did, it was once. They didn't get stopped. So yeah, it was awesome. Josh Allen, 6 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 3 passing. Only other player to do that in NFL history was Josh Allen last season. Otto Graham did it in 1957, so don't sleep on Otto Graham. But yeah, awesome week for Josh. Josh's 17th Player of the Week, which matches his jersey number, and maybe tonight he'll go for number 18.
Yeah, Benjamin Shoop, tell us about Josh Allen and your thoughts. Is he back?
I mean, yeah, I think it was a game where he needed to step up, especially after the early turnovers, and yeah, I mean, it's games like those where you see people still saying, "Well, he didn't play that that great." It's 6 touchdowns, man. They scored 6. I saw people on Twitter saying, "Oh, he really didn't play that great though." 6 touchdowns. I don't care what else. If you score 6 touchdowns, you could have 3 picks that are all in the red zone. I don't care. You scored six touchdowns. You're good. You're good with me.
Yeah, that's the type of performance I think you just start getting things rolling, and hopefully that sort of snowballs into that continuous effort. And what's been happening season after season with this team. So I think that you can look to hopefully carry that momentum and that sort of juice with you throughout the next couple games here. I had a little bit of help with Tyrell Shavers and Gabe Davis stepping up. So just real quick, I was very excited, as you guys know, to break out my 13 Gabe Davis jersey last Sunday and wear that out. What did you guys make? And, big ups to Tyrell Shavers, obviously good performance, best performance of his career probably. So Gabe Davis dropping the touchdown, but was a little bit hot on him. I think that he wanted that one though. Good performance overall. Without Keon in the lineup, obviously, and then with some guys going down, Curtis Samuel and McCole Hardman out of the game there towards the end.
Yeah. Shavers. I mean, Shavers is a guy that I've been saying for a while. I want to see him get more snaps. Now, I don't think necessarily he'll be the savior of the Bills wide receivers, but I think he can be a very good piece.
That's Gabe Davis.
That is Gabe Davis, but I think that Shavers could be a crucial part down this stretch run into the playoffs. I think he's a guy that, even when he was talking about the long touchdown, how, he wasn't supposed to do that. When you see Josh kind of moving, you're not supposed to run even farther from him, but he saw it was open. He knows Josh Allen's his quarterback who has the good arm. And once Josh started coming back a little bit to the left, he saw him deep and made a throw that was in some wind, and it was a ridiculous throw. But yeah, I mean, I think Shavers could be a guy that down the stretches can come up huge for this team. And yeah, him and Gabe, we obviously see the trust that Josh has in Gabe, and I think it will only grow as the weeks go on. And Gabe could be a guy that we can look back and say, wow, just that chemistry that he has with Josh is huge.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add to it is McDermott said after the game, the ball finds who works hard. I think that was pretty telling for what's going on in the Bills wide receiver room, and kind of shows the kind of guy that Terrell Shavers is. So you can tell they were really happy for his success, given how hard he works off the field, when maybe some others not as much.
Yeah. We obviously know Gabe Davis got the Iron Bill Award a couple years in a row, so his hard work is paying off, and getting back from injury looks fresh. So that's excited to see. He's up again for a second game, and we'll see what happens tonight with that. Scott, you had a point here with 30% play action on first down. You think that kind of continues? Again, this is something all these reactions are to say that, this is some things that can probably create momentum and confidence moving forward with some of these guys. What do you make of that play action percentage on first down there?
Well, I said on the show last week that they were just being way too predictable. Something we mentioned, like what was wrong with the offense. They ran the ball the most of any team on first down. And when they were under center, they almost always ran the ball. So I think they're getting too predictable. We saw the Dolphins just come out in a base defense, and those teams will come out in a nickel, knowing that on first down, hey, the Bills are going to run the ball. And the Bills took the tendencies they'd been showing and they flipped them, which is something they needed to do. So by going play action, specifically play action under center, Josh was able to go 5 for 7 for over 100 yards and a touchdown. So a lot of people were saying being too predictable, too vanilla, not jazzing it up at all. We saw them do that, and it worked. So obviously, you can't do that every time, because then your tendency will switch, and teams will know that. But nice to show that they could do it, and it was a nice adjustment by Joe Brady, which a lot of people are calling for.
Indeed, yeah, I like the adjustments there. Obviously, it's hard to argue that you liked what you saw from the offense last week. Obviously, the turnovers weren't as great. One was on special teams, obviously not necessarily offense, but the 2 interceptions weren't ideal. But overall, they were able to overcome them. Ben, what do you have on that point?
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that, we've been talking about, how a lot, even before the last week, a lot of the successful drives that you saw mixed in a lot of play action and just being able to keep the defense guessing and not knowing, hey, you have this package out here, and it's James Cook's out there, it's going to be a run. If Ty Johnson's out there, you might be more looking at a pass, and they kind of were able to keep Tampa Bay guessing. And the Tampa was a defense that, at least going into that game, was a top 12 defense in the league, I believe, statistically. And I know they lost a corner early in the game, but at the same time, like it's a team that's well coached, a team that is talked about as can go up against anybody. And play action was the key to one of the big keys for the Bills finding success on the offensive side.
Yeah. 7-1 slicker of the week this week, Spencer Brown, both touchdowns that Josh Allen had rushing towards his side, was the highest graded offensive player in PFF. For what you make of that. The 7-1 slicker of the week is presented by 7-1 Slicks Barbershop on Broadway in Depew. Go out there and book your cut with Dennis. Here's a QR code. If you can, scan this, and it'll take you right to the where you can book the cut. Scott, do you have more to add to that? What did you make of Spencer Brown's play against Tampa Bay? And overall, he's been, obviously Dion gets all the accolades, but geez, Spencer Brown has turned into an absolute monster on that right tackle.
Yeah, Spencer Brown is awesome. Both of Josh's rushing TDs that weren't tush pushes went behind Spencer Brown. Spencer Brown leading the way, and him maniacally, I think that's how you say it, maniacally laughing as he kind of carried him into the end zone while running over a Bucs DB. But yeah, Spencer Brown was awesome. There were some worries about the O-line as a whole. They were struggling to pick up blitzes earlier in the season, but it seems like they've sorted that. I know a lot of that's on Josh as well and setting the protection, but they're probably not going to get a bigger test all season than they're going to get tonight from the Texans. So I guess we'll really see how fixed it is.
Ben?
Yeah. I mean, another guy that I think is an underrated draft pick from Brandon Bean and an underrated piece of this offense is Spencer Brown. I mean, he's what did they describe him? I know they had that one graphic, one of the games where they were describing each offensive lineman. What was
he said he was a psychopath or something, right?
Yeah, like something like, yeah, he's
a
just an
complete psychopath.
And yeah, you see it. I mean, especially you want that kind of out of your right tackle. That's just a guy that, maybe Dion needs to be, because he's left tackle, better at pass blocking, but you want your right tackle to be the guy that you're going to run behind. And Spencer Brown's a big dude. What was he, 6'8"? And he's a guy that I'm glad they want to keep him around, and I think he can be that right tackle for the next 5-7 years that helps protect Josh.
Second best athlete to come out of Northern Iowa after Ali Farouk-Manesh. If anyone remembers him. Hit that shot to beat Kansas.
Very nice. All right. Well, here's the game day roster, folks, as people in the chat were looking for a little bit. Obviously, Keon Coleman, the big story. We're going to talk about him in just a second. Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid, and McCole Hardman are injured. Hardman now on IR. Samuel with a neck and some other things. We'll see what he looks like next week some more. Now the Bills are going to have 10 days after this game to get healthy. Hopefully Kincaid and those folks can try to trend towards getting back. And then we also elevated Gabe Davis and Kaleki Latu to the active roster from the practice squad today. Let's just start real quick with the injuries and the elevations before we really dive into Keon. And folks, go ahead if you'd like to throw some comments down about your thoughts on Keon. We'll go through them and maybe display a couple as we get through it. But first, Ben, why don't you take us through just a couple thoughts on, Samuel, Kincaid, and Hardman there, and then maybe Gabe and Latu being elevated this week.
Yeah. I mean, the one with Kincaid, you kind of expect him to be out for a little bit. Hamstring injuries, you don't really want to mess with just because they can linger. So yeah, I mean, Kincaid, hopefully then you can let him rest and you can get away with it for the next few games. But yeah, it's a tough one. I kind of expected that. Hardman, I didn't expect to go to IR. But again, another guy that obviously had a kind of up and down first game. He had some great returns. He had the fumble, so he showed a little bit that he can maybe help his team down the road as well. And then Samuel, I don't even know, man. Like, this guy just cannot stay on the football field, and it seems like he's the one guy that, at least the one extension or signing that you like, it's the most disappointing out of all of the guys that Brandon Bean has maybe signed, because people were very excited for him. They were excited his first year coming in, now the second year coming in, and it's just hasn't worked out. So luckily, like we said, we've had Shaver stepping up. Hopefully Elijah Moore can step up. Gabe Davis coming back and stepping up. So yeah, it's it's tough to see those guys that not be able to stay on the field. Kincaid's though the big one that I think, let him rest. Obviously, don't force him back, but he's definitely the most missed out of those three.
Yeah, with Hardman, you wonder if they're maybe playing a bit of the IR game that Brandon Bean loves, because after this game, you only have one elevation left for Gabe Davis. Feels like he's coming up to the 53 probably after this week or after next week, right, at the latest. So maybe just
because he's a free agent technically now, right? So you don't want other teams to make an offer he can't refuse, showing that he's healthy and that sort of thing.
Right. So you wonder if they're playing kind of the IR game and then figure out cross that bridge when you get there in 4 weeks when Hardman's able to come back. And who knows? Maybe we'll see him again. Maybe we won't. Not convinced he's a double agent after that fumble.
Yeah. Yeah, tough to see that guys come in and then immediately go out. We saw that with Hoyt after a game and a quarter or game and a half, whatever it was. Obviously, so McCole Hardman kind of following in suit. It's tough. I think Scott mentioned this before we went on the air there, that you're off for a bit of time and then you try to come in and play. Those soft tissue injuries tend to creep up for those guys. Super excited to hopefully get Dalton Kincaid back for the next game in 10 days. We'll see if that comes to fruition. I would assume that he's going to at least be close, if not a go. And then we'll continue to monitor Curtis Samuel as he goes through his rehab process, and get to see a little bit of Elijah Moore today. Obviously, we're going to see more Gabe Davis, which I'm excited for. And then Latu, playing well, adding some value depth for the Bills at tight end, who love to carry 3 there. Before we go into Keon, I just want to say shout out to Monster Energy, the official energy partner of Built-In Buffalo. I got my nice orange dreamsicle flavor going. They came out with a nice electric blue flavor as well that we have at all the tailgates over at the Big Tree Inn on game days. So stop by the Big Tree Inn over there. Also, shout out to 716 Barbershop on Depew, as I mentioned during the 7-1 Slicker. Also, shout out to the Built Different movement here. We got Cheat Code Athletics Built Different hoodies at the tailgate each and every week as well. Select colors and sizes. So stop out and hang out with us at the tailgate. Get yourself a nice hoodie. Get yourself some Monster. We're also sponsored by Southern Tier Brewing, so we'll try to have some brews out there as they are allotted. We were able to do one for one allotment for one game, and we'll see if that happens again. But Keon Coleman, let's do it, Scott. Start us off, big man, and let us know where you're at on Keon, and kind of drive the bus here on which direction we're going to go with him.
I'm out on Keon, I think. I don't want to be, but we knew maturity may be an issue when in his introductory press conferences, like he's a character of a human being, no doubt about it. You hoped he was able to separate the time to joke around from the time to go to work. And it doesn't necessarily seem like he has and he can. The jokes are a lot less funny when you're not playing well on the field, and they're almost disrespectful when you're not being where you're supposed to be and you're late for meetings, you're missing meetings, whatever the case may be. A message clearly needed to be sent, and it was on Sunday. And guess what? The offense looked a hell of a lot better. Terrell Shavers and Gabe Davis put up more with his snaps than Keon really has all season outside of the Ravens game week 1. And a lot of that was at the end when they were just kind of, throwing the ball to come back. So tonight, I don't know if it's a message sending benching or if it's a, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Ever heard of Wally Pipp type benching? Like if the offense looked better, the guys played better than you have, like you're maybe the odd man out. I think he had a very long leash because he was a second-round pick, and Josh wanted him, and they gave him every opportunity to be successful, but he hasn't really taken it, and it doesn't necessarily seem like he wants to take it because he's showing up late to meetings and not taking things seriously. So maybe he plays again next Sunday and he flips a switch and he takes the next rest of this week off to reflect and like kind of look himself in the mirror and decides what kind of NFL career do I want to have? Because you're not going to have a better situation than being with the best quarterback on the NFL on a Super Bowl ready to win team in your second year. Like you're just not. So he's going to have to figure out who he wants to be. And hopefully he grows from this and he comes back and he can make an impact. But if not, and he continues to be inactive, it kind of feels like maybe they're going to end up trading him at the end of the year. And they'd probably be lucky to get a day 3 pick for him. Maybe a 5th or a 6th if someone's feeling real generous. But it's disappointing because everybody wanted him to be successful, especially Josh Allen. He was his guy, but still doesn't seem like it's working out on the field or off the field.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not quite fully out on him yet. I'm definitely starting to lean that way. And it's kind of a back and forth thing for me of this is that, yeah, they're sending that message of, hey, like we get it. You're 22 years old. You still, need to grow a little bit, but this is the NFL. We can't give you a long time. You need to get it together now, not in 2 years when your rookie deal's up. You need to do it now or we're done. And it's a tough one because like that is the situation where it's not like he is a 24, 25-year-old that had extra years in college, that was all at one school learning from maybe a coach that was able to help him grow in college. And it's now become something that, yeah, they gave him chances and they said, hey, and now they're saying, hey, that's it for you. Like you have to get it together. And, this isn't maybe, like he's out getting in trouble with the law or doing anything like that. Or, he's not like he's George Pickens fighting people on the field or anything, which honestly sometimes makes it even worse of like, hey, you're not, being just reckless. You are just simply not doing the basic things that you should be doing as a NFL pro. And I hope this message gets through to him. I still think he can be, I don't think he'll ever be a superstar receiver in this league, but I still think he can be a valuable piece to a team. He has the athleticism to do it. Now, can he put the work in? Can he put his head down and say, I'm going to put all the BS and the missed meetings and all of that behind me and earn the trust of my teammates again, earn the trust of my coaches, and earn the trust of this organization and fan base. So it sucks to kind of see because, again, I think he has all the ability in the world to be a good receiver in this league, at least solid receiver in this league. It's just he's having those issues off the field, and it's something that is it's now make or break time. Like I just saw who said it. Was it Scott in the chat here that said it? Yeah, Scott. Make or break time for him. That's it. This is his probably last chance, at least with the Bills.
Yeah, I'm gonna be more patient with him. He's definitely immature, right? So a guy that, I wasn't a fan of the Bills taking right out of the draft, if that matters to anybody. I just was wasn't sure that the Bills needed him or could like that he would really benefit himself or the team all that much plugging him into this offense. And he just has gone that way. Now, I think the off the field stuff is probably a bigger issue than his on the field, but his on the field performance is not helping, like Scott mentioned, whatsoever. I think he's got a lot of work to do as an NFL receiver to be good. Yeah, he may have traits, he may have some talent there and things like that, but he's just got a lot of work to do to put it together to be the kind of guy a team needs. And obviously a ton to clean up in the maturity aspect because he's just not able. 2 games is crazy to me. I thought that for sure, the 1 game benching would be the sign that, hey, you've got to get it together. And now to have it be back-to-back games, like that tells me that he must have not reacted well to the first benching either. And that there's more discussion going on behind the scenes with this kid that he really needs to try to take hold and get things together. So it's tough to see your first pick in a year sort of, I don't want to say flame out yet, but he's sort of on that trajectory to flaming out pretty quickly here. And that's a tough blow for the Bills because they needed that pick to kind of hit, and it's not proving to be good. But I'm still trying to stay patient a little bit and see
the tough part
see where he can go, see if he can put, actually something together on the field before the end of the season here.
I think the tough part is he's 22. Like that's the tough part is, again, he's still so young. And
that's why I want to have patience. That's why I'm kind of that type of I like to give people chances and sort of to a fault sometimes maybe, but I just think that he like you said is so young and has athleticism and traits that you'd like for an NFL receiver, but still has to do a lot of work to get to where we'd like him to be so he can have success on the field.
And I do want to say also, I just saw this comment from Joey. Shout out Joey, I see you in the chat there. But the only difference though is Gabe didn't have these off the field issues. Like that's they
was better on the field.
Yeah, and so like they were fine being patient with a guy like Gabe, really putting it more together. Like, yeah, he didn't have it all together when he got in the league, but he was producing more early on than
and he was a 4th round pick.
And he was a 4th round pick, and he also wasn't having these off the field issues. That's the problem. And this regime, if we've learned anything, does not. I mean, they're not going to go back to guys being in trouble. If you're causing,
Gabe Davis was winning Iron Bill awards, not even though he
right.
wasn't.
Gabe Davis is like the poster child for like a Sean McDermott type player. He blocks, he runs hard on his for love of the game routes. He was a late pick that made it. Like Gabe Davis is like for all like, he was awesome for what he was, his 4th round pick. So yeah, I don't really know if that's a comparison really.
And Worthy's not much better. I'm gonna be honest. But no, we should have taken Ladd McConkey, but that's a different story. We're not going to get into that. We have another game tonight that we should be getting into.
Yeah, let's jump into it. Why don't we? I think we've said our piece on Keon. Unless if you have anything more to add to it, but I think that we kind of set our piece with it, and let's go into the Bills' offense without Keon Coleman. They're facing a very tough Texans defense. Scott, do you want to lead us up on the offensive preview and Ben take the defense, or vice versa? Chop it up.
Yeah, I can do that. So the Texans have very possibly the best defense in the league. They're number 1 in total defense, number 3 in passing defense and rushing defense. So it's going to be a tough test. We were talking earlier in our group chat, and I was saying, like, we're talking about guys to score touchdowns. Like, I don't know if the Bills score 3 touchdowns. It might be a first team to 20 wins kind of thing. But Jalen Petrie is out, one of their safeties who was awesome for the Texans last season against the Bills. And when he's not in the game, their secondary's EPA goes from 1st in the league down to 11th. So hopefully the Bills can try to exploit that. Ben, how big of a loss is Petrie for the Texans, and how big is that for the Bills?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge because he's playing good football, and when you have a good player in the secondary with you're already having your receiver issues, I know last week obviously it wasn't really there fully, but when you have your receiver issues, to have a guy in the secondary out for an opponent is huge. I mean, this defense will still be good. Don't get me wrong. Like, this isn't one of those completely changes how the defense runs, but it is still big where, maybe they give up 1 or 2 more big plays, a couple more big plays than they're not used to, because the guy maybe he's out of position or he just doesn't play it as well, whatever it is. It can be game changing. So, yeah, I mean, it's big, and they should. I expect them to at least attack. I'm blanking right now on who the replacement is for Houston over Petrie, but I expect them to attack that position and go after him.
You're not going to do your reading the depth chart segment, America's favorite?
No, I don't have pulled up this show, unfortunately.
Sorry, America. The whole audience that came in from Amazon, it's all going back now.
Yep. I think the Bills definitely have a good shot through the air with Petrie out. Obviously, it's a better shot. Like you mentioned, EPA goes from 1st to 11th. And, Houston has a great defense. The biggest part about, containing the pass, which is next up here, is the pass rush. I mean, that's really the part of the passing game that worries me the most is, protecting Josh. He's been taking some hits and been getting hurried and making some less than ideal choices out there. So really being able to handle this pass rush, and that's going to go by running James Cook and others and trying to get them off of their rush marks. And hopefully, the tackles, Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, have their A game today to contain that pass rush. And obviously the interior is going to be critical as well. That's where Josh kind of gets in the most trouble if people are right up in his face up the middle. So I think their strength though is rushing from obviously the edge rushers there. And we'll see if they can get pressure with 4-man, then it's going to be a long day for the Bills. They're going to have to figure out a way to neutralize that, but we'll see exactly what happens. I know Deion Dawkins was talking in the media, and he mentioned that, hey, we're good tackles too over here, and we're a good offensive line over here. So there was a graphic out where the Bills are far and above one of the best offensive line, or actually the best ranked offensive line in the league. So strength on strength here, and we'll see what plays out. But I guess I'm going to give that edge to the Bills. The Bills aren't going to be totally dominated and score 0 points. So they're going to have some success through the air. They're going to have a little bit of success through the run. And obviously on offense, the biggest key for me for me, this is like a cliche game, I guess. Like you have to avoid penalties to set yourself back. You have to get good starting field position as they were able to last week for a lot of the time. And then you have to avoid the turnovers as well. So obviously it's a disciplined game. Can you be disciplined on the road? And that's really what I think this game comes down to from the Bills' offensive side.
Yeah, agreed. And the Texans are going to play a lot of zone. That's what they like to do, very similar to the Bills. So Josh is going to be a big-time take what's there guy tonight. If he isn't, he's going to try to if he tries to force things and throw picks. We've seen what that's looked like the past couple of weeks. He's going to have to take what's there, take what's underneath, and the Texans aren't going to really give up big plays. Their secondary is just too good, especially with Stingley on one side. So just take what's there. Don't try to force anything, and work your way down the field. I don't want to see people complaining about a lack of big plays tonight if there aren't any. But if they take care of the football, this is a team that they should beat.
If they win the game and put up enough points to win the game, I don't care how they move the ball.
Thursday night as well. Like Thursday night on the road, like I don't give a shit if they win 2-0. Like just win the game, don't get hurt.
Yeah. Do we got anything else on the offense you want to go through, Scott, or are we going to the defense?
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about as much stuff as you want to talk about.
Well, I just didn't know.
Yeah, let's talk about getting James Cook going real quick. If we're gonna, and I kind of talked about the pass rush and the Bills handling that. I'm not sure if you have any more points on that, but James Cook has to get going again. I think that he's done a good job of starting to get involved in the passing game too, but maybe not big rushing day, let's say last week. So even though the Texans are one of the better defenses, I think that the Bills still with their offensive line, like I said, they have every opportunity here to play a good line of scrimmage game and move some people around. And EPA per rush, the Texans are 10th. So they're not as dominant. They have the rush yards per game and that sort of thing, but EPA per rush is 10th. So, they're still going to give up a little bit here and there. And with the Bills rushing attack, I think James Cook has a good chance to still have a solid night.
Yeah, I think with James Cook, I'm going to go quick with this because, Lance pretty much covered everything that I was thinking. But I think on top of getting him going on the ground early, you got to just get him involved as much as possible, even if the ground game's not working. I think if you use James Cook in the passing game, get him out in space. I'm still kind of waiting for those types of plays about just getting it a little dump off to him out in the flat, get a blocker in front of him. Let's roll. You saw last week, you did see that passing touchdown to James Cook. That was a phenomenal play design. But I'd like to see him and, even just all the running backs get going. Ray Davis had a couple good returns. It is his birthday today, so maybe we see him a little bit more than usual. And if you can get all three running backs going and give a little change of pace, that'll be great. But James Cook is either way, he's the number one, and you got to get him rolling tonight.
Yeah, it was almost like Joe Brady last week remembered you were allowed to throw the ball to running backs. It was something that was such a big part of our offense last season and something they did so well, especially Ty Johnson, and we just hadn't really seen it. So that, and like we talked about earlier, more play action on first down, being less predictable. Maybe the people who were saying Brady's just saving stuff for when you really need it did have a point, because we saw a lot of new things last week that we hadn't seen before. So when against the Texans defense, you're going to have to send out more things because they're so good that if you just show them stuff they've seen on film, it's not going to work. So hopefully that got the running backs going in the passing game last week. And James Cook hasn't had the best last two games, but in the Dolphins game, they're losing the whole time. Can't run the ball if you're losing. And then last week, the first half was kind of weird with the turnovers, and we scored on two big plays. So it's hard to run the ball, and you don't run a lot of snaps. So hopefully we get him into a rhythm. He should go over 1,000 yards tonight, which will be cool. We won't have to do it in week 18 like last year. But get James Cook into a rhythm, get the ball in his hands, and then good things usually happen.
Yeah, like I said last week, over and over again, just because they haven't doesn't mean they can't or that they won't. So see more of that. Also, there's a progression from this offense. They have a nice laid plan. They had the foundation early on. We talked about Connor McGovern saying early on that they were keeping things kind of simple, but that's sort of, you lay the foundation, you do what you think is going to work best, and then you start to build on that. You got to show certain things so that you can play off of that later in the season. Now we're starting to see more and more things as we get later in the year. And I think we're going to continue to see a little bit more and more, but they can't show everything right out of the gate. And, they have some things that they think they can do against these teams in a game by game situation. And then it's all about adjusting and adapting the play calling after that, whether you find out if you can or can't run those schemes against the team you're playing. And it seems like maybe they just haven't been able to get out of their own way or haven't necessarily adjusted quickly enough to overcome some of the deficits they found themselves in the 3 losses. But, no team's perfect. And I think they have every chance tonight to start again. Let's start a winning streak of 2 here and get things rolling. We talked about how good they are in late season after November 1st. And I think the Bills can keep that ripping. So,
yeah.
Ben, take us through what you think about this defense against the Houston offense.
The defense might be the most important part of today's game just because of how good Houston's defense is, where if they're kind of stifling the offense, this defense is going to have to show up. Now, Davis Mills is starting tonight, Mills Mafia. Stroud is still out with the concussion. So Davis Mills is starting. There's pros and cons to having him start over Stroud. We've seen, Nico Collins get going a little bit more with Davis Mills than CJ Stroud, but we also know CJ Stroud has been the starter there for a little bit, and he is, nothing to slouch about. So there is ups and downs. They are 23rd in rushing, so rushing they do struggle. So it's going to be it's basically you have the Bills run defense, which is not very good, and the Texans run offense, which is not very good. Which one's going to give? Is it going to be the Bills defense saying, hey, we might not be the greatest, but we're not that bad? Or is it going to be Houston's offense saying the same thing with their run game? So we'll see about that. So when it comes to you guys, with Davis Mills starting, Scott, we're going to start with you. With Davis Mills starting, how much does this affect how the Bills have to play the secondary with Nico Collins and all of the weapons they have?
I mean, it's definitely helpful to have Davis Mills as opposed to CJ Stroud. I know he hasn't been great this season and most of last season, but he's still a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, according to him. But yeah, another perk of having Davis Mills is he's really good at seeing over the line because his neck is very long. But people forget Davis Mills was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He was the number 1 recruit in the country. You know who was 2 spots after him?
Who?
AJ Epinesa. Another big-time recruit for him, also will be in this game. But, yeah, he's been throwing the ball to Nico Collins a lot, which you mentioned, Ben. He's really, I would say, the only wide receiver on that Texans offense that you really have to worry about much, especially with Tank Dell being hurt, missing the whole season. Christian Kirk isn't what he used to be, even though he is one of Josh's good friends. So, yeah, I think that we see a lot of Benford. Benford played awesome last week, by the way. We didn't mention that earlier. Completely shut down Ibuka. I think we see a lot of Benford on Nico Collins and can probably even afford to give him some safety help if he needs it because, there's no one else really on the outside that's going to give you much trouble. Dalton Schultz isn't bad as the tight end, but if anybody follows Jersey Jerry, the Barstool guy, he's 0-10 this season on picking guys to score touchdowns on Thursday night, and he picked Dalton Schultz, so I think we're safe.
Amazing.
There. But yeah, if they can control Nico Collins, make Davis Mills have to go to his second read. I think I saw he's like top 5 and going to his first read. For a backup quarterback makes a lot of sense. So they can contain Nico Collins, make Davis Mills have to scan the field, find other reads, and get pressure. I think they can make his night very long.
Yeah, Shaq Thompson back also for the Bills defense, as Dave was mentioning very earlier on before we got too far into it. But very nice that Shaq's back. I like the rotation. Dorian Williams going to get some snaps, no doubt, as well. Bills may try an obvious rundowns to play some more 4-3 base, obviously, and we'll see what that looks like. I think that the Bills with this defense, with this offensive line in Houston, the Bills pass rush has to show something. They have got to get they have got to show an ability to get pressure tonight. I'm going to be very discouraged if we go out there and we don't see, you know, Bosa have maybe 2 or 3 sacks, even Greg Rousseau getting on the stat sheet for in the sack column. The defensive line really should have their way with this offensive line from Houston. I want to see that they can really move some guys out there and win this line of scrimmage. And I think that's really why, you know, what I predicted in my score prediction and what I think is going to happen in the game. Really, it's all about the line of scrimmage. If you can dominate there, that's again another cliche about this game. If you can dominate the line of scrimmage, right, you're going to control the game. And I think the Bills' defensive line has to do that in Houston.
Yeah. I think, Lance, you were mentioning getting after the quarterback. I think it's even just good for the defensive line to get going as a whole, because if you cannot stop this run game, one, that's a horrible look, because again, they're not a good running football team. And two, it's going to let them lean into things that they want to do with play action and getting Nico the ball and having to worry about that. You know, I saw Scott say in the comments that he wouldn't be surprised if Nick Chubb gets some extra work as well. I know it's been him and, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name right now. Rookie running back.
Marks.
Yeah,
Woody Marks.
They've kind of been going back and forth, and yeah, I do agree that I think I could see Nick Chubb kind of getting some more carries just because he has been around longer. He's a little bit more of a punishing, you know, physical runner. And one thing Bills struggle with is bringing down ball carriers. So I think, you know, just in general, this defensive line getting involved early, wrapping up, finishing plays is going to be huge to slowing down the Houston offense. So yeah, it's going to be a test. And Scott, what do you think when it comes to the run game, at least? What do the Bills...
just real quick, Bobby Babich also said that they have to have like a mentality that we're not going to be run on. And I thought that was a little bit concerning because like, and yeah, Scott, you can go ahead on that point too. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ben, but I just thought it's like, shouldn't they have had the mentality that they don't want to be run on since day one of the season? Like it's a sort of a silly comment from Babich. It's like, yeah, let's get that mentality sooner than later, because like you're getting absolutely drubbed in the run game week in and week out, and the Texans are probably going to try to go to that to have a shot tonight. I don't know. I just thought that comment was very interesting, hearing Bobby Babich's press conference this week.
What do I always say the best way to stop the run game is?
I don't listen to you.
Score points.
You
score points, the other team can't run the ball. I've said this all the time. It's like when everybody's, the run defense is a problem. It is. But if the offense is clicking, it doesn't matter if the other team can run the ball. Like we saw it last week. Like the Bucs just couldn't keep up by just running the ball, because eventually there's going to be a holding penalty. You're going to luck into a tackle at some point. Like you're going to get them behind the sticks. They're going to have to throw the ball. Like the best way to slow down a running team is to score points. Look at the Lions game last year. We got out to a 14-0 lead, took their running backs completely out of it. They could never catch up. So obviously it doesn't feel good watching your team get run on, because it just shows that honestly the defense isn't tough, because tough defenses can stop the run. I think that's more what Babich is getting at. Like we need to have that chip on our shoulder edge. But if the offense performs like it can, I don't give a shit if the other team wants to run the ball. Like they're not going to catch up. But the way this offense,
that's the philosophy, right? Stop the, you're built to stop the pass, and you can run as much as you want. But at the end of the day, you're going to, now the Bills obviously gave Tampa Bay last week more opportunities to stay in the game with the 3 turnovers, right? Yeah. So that's why I say tonight, you really have to sort of limit that because you're going to have a harder time scoring points tonight than you have. So you need to give yourself short field. You need to limit the mistakes. The discipline's going to have to be there on the penalty front and on the turnover front. And that'll, help them score points to neutralize any sort of attempt at running the ball down our throats from Houston. I just don't think they have, the ponies to do that either.
Backs.
Yeah.
No. This team isn't built to stop the run. It isn't. Our base D is nickel. We're built to beat teams like the Chiefs. That's why the Ravens give us trouble, even though we always beat them.
Yeah, I do still expect them to break maybe one or two 20-yard runs, just because it also feels like the Bills defense where they give up one or two big runs but then they'll stuff them at the line 4 times in a row. Like it's very weird. I feel like sometimes with this run defense, because the numbers are so bad when you look at it as a whole, but they do have some games where they just stuff the run and they give up 2 or 3 big runs, and that's the issue. So I think for me, if they give up 3-4, that's still not great, but it's better than giving up 2, 65. Like, you can't give up the big runs to this team. You can't give them that juice of, hey, we can crack the big runs against this defense. And that starts with tackling. You got to be able to wrap up, and it's going to come down to, I think, even we were talking about defensive line, but even Terrell Bernard, there's been the rumors of, is he playing through something that's worse than maybe we think, or anything like that?
Oh, he absolutely has. I mean, Babbage said that he was playing banged up.
You can tell.
I love Babbage is like, everyone's got a rhythm. He talks about the rhythm, and it's like, it's just, everyone's getting into, people are coming into a season fully healthy, then they get nicked up, and now they've got to make adjustments to things. And now it seems like guys are sort of figuring things out. Obviously, Cole Bishop, we've talked about, is figuring things out and how to play in this league and how to get himself prepared and where to be and that sort of thing. So Cole Bishop sort of figuring it. Things are slowing down for him as he figures it out. And same with Terrell Bernard, as he figures it out with, what limitations are, he's able to kind of adapt his game and still be successful as the Bills middle linebacker. So, any more on the defense? Let's move on to our fantasy players start and sit. The moment we've all been waiting for is Scott's start or sit this week. What do you have, Scott?
I'm starting garbage plates. I'm going to be in Rochester this weekend for a wedding. If I don't drunkenly eat a garbage plate at least once, I'm going to be sad. So garbage plates, maybe even dinosaur barbecue. Maybe I'll get nuts.
Ooh, yeah, that's good stuff. Can you eat two? Because I'm not going to have one, but if you could have one for me, that'd be excellent.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be several.
My start, I'm going to go with Khalil Shakir, the new father. I believe he'll have a big game. I know he's one of those fantasy players where it can be, some weeks he puts up 2 or 3. Some weeks he puts up 20. He's a real frustrating player. That's also partly due to the Bills' offense, not necessarily him. I think, though, he'll find a way in the end zone tonight. Once people have a kid, it just becomes they get that dad strength magically, and they all of a sudden have a career day the week after they have a kid. So I'm gonna go start Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, I wonder how big Jalen Petrie's absence will be for Shakir there, if he can find some more success over the middle and things like that. Exactly. But I'm going to start the Bills defense, and I think they could potentially score a touchdown in this game. And like I said, there's no reason to me that the Bills defense shouldn't be able to dominate the line of scrimmage, and that should cause a whole host of problems for Houston. And hopefully at least a few turnovers and a touchdown scored from the Bills defense is what I'm predicting here. Scott, what are you sitting?
For starters, I'm sitting the college football playoff committee.
All of them.
I think
benched.
All of them. I think it's stupid that guys who are athletic directors of schools who could be in it are on the committee. There's no way you can be impartial. I think it's stupid that they came out and said that they haven't put Miami and Notre Dame in the same groupings of teams because Notre Dame is just so much better than Miami, even though they played on the field and Miami beat Notre Dame. Like, I'm with you. I don't think Miami is as good as Notre Dame is right now either, but that's just a crazy thing to say when they didn't just put them in the same group of teams. They put them on the field and Miami won, and it doesn't feel like that means anything. It's always just strange to me. And justice for JMU. Seems like they just want to put the best American team in, but I think JMU is really good. And if they win the Sun Belt, they deserve to be in the playoff. And I'm also sitting Thursday Night Football. I think it's stupid. The NFL says they care about player safety. They obviously don't. You put them out there 3 days after they just played another game, make a team travel across the country to play again. Guys get hurt. It's a watered down product. I understand make as much money as you can, but Thursday night football just isn't good for the players, and it's not always fun to watch because it's sloppy football.
Yeah, I think this is the farthest away from home the Bills do travel this year as well.
Yeah, whole year.
And on Thursday Night Football, it's a little bit of a unfortunate thing. I'm gonna sit Josh Palmer. I think there's some other guys. Gabe Davis obviously has showed up on the outside and things like that. We'll see where Stingley is on the outside with guys and go from there.
I'm gonna sit any of Lance's bets tonight. Usually when it's Bills games, it's just, one of those things where, Lance can go on some runs with betting. He can. I won't deny it. But once it's his team, he starts, doing, I think, what he wants to happen instead of what he will happen. So I'm going to sit any of Lance's bets tonight. So if anybody sees Lance tweeting about bets, if they get a message from him about bets, either fade it or don't bet it, and it'll be a good night.
The little ones I took today, I took some stuff this morning, and then I heard on the radio later on guys liking the Elijah Moore anytime touchdown at a big plus number, the Gabe Davis anytime touchdown. And then the only thing is Josh Allen over 1.5 passing touchdowns and 225.5 passing yards. So
when you say
I think the 1.5 passing touchdowns plus money too.
I saw the comment earlier about jet sweep. Oh, right here from Corey Collins. No jet sweeps, please. And I read this in my head of please don't do it. But this would be the one game they give Elijah Moore. Somehow they give him a jet sweep and he takes it the distance or something. But yeah, I just, when I read that was my first thought was, yes, I completely agree. No more jet sweeps. But the one game that we bring it up, he's going to take one to the house.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, game prediction time, guys. Drop your game predictions in the comments here. Ben, go ahead and start us off with our game predictions. What do you got?
I'm going to go with 23-9. I think will be an ugly first half, at least for both teams. I think it will be a very defensive game. And it's kind of been Houston's MO this whole year is getting through ugly games and either losing by 3 or winning by 3. So I do think, though, that Houston, this game, I think Josh will get off the snot of losing in Houston. I think he'll keep his Thursday night football streak going. And I think the Bills pull it out.
I'm going Bills 20, Texans 17. I think it's a sloppy game. Agree with you there. I think it's kind of a rock fight, a Big Ten type football game. Thursday night football, just win, don't care what it looks like, and nobody get hurt. That's the two things I want. Just win, don't get hurt. Go Bills.
Yeah, I got 24-13 Bills, and I think that it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a defensive battle, and when the Bills get short fields, they got to take advantage of it. I think they will. I mentioned maybe the defense getting one. We'll see. I'd love to see the Bills hang 30 on Houston, but I don't believe that's been done yet. So we'll see how the Bills fare in that endeavor. And with that, I think that does it for us, guys and gals. Thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to Monster Energy, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo, 716 Barbershop on Broadway in Depew, Southern Tier Brewing Company, Dave Myers and Built in Buffalo platform for hosting us. And go have fun with this game, and go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.